Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having me here. My name is Pablo Barrera, and as was said in the introduction, I'm Head of Strategy and Supply Chain in Yara. It's great to have the opportunity this evening to share with you how we in Yara work every day to achieve several of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are committed to being a positive force in pushing the world towards a more sustainable future. And throughout this presentation, I will share with you how we work specifically with digital solutions to actually achieve that. I'll be trying to be very concrete. I only have 7 minutes, so I will do what I can within those 7 minutes. I would first like to take a step back to 1905. So Yara was founded in 1905, and at the turn of the previous century, Europe was on the brink of famine. And a call went out to the scientist community to help find a solution to this emerging problem. 3 men in Norway came up with a solution. 2 Norwegians, a scientist and an engineer, and then a Swede who had the money, founded Yara in 1905, based on the invention of taking nitrogen from the air, harvesting it in a solid form, and then applying it to crops, basically helping crops grow, and thereby leading to what we today know as mineral fertilizer. Many people don't know this, but actually, mineral fertilizer is the world's most saving life innovation. It's more important than any vaccine that's ever been invented, and it was invented here in Norway more than 100 years ago. We continue to be committed to what we were committed back then, to helping responsibly feed the world. We've tied our strategy to the Sustainable Development Goals, and we've not only put it on a nice piece of paper, but we've also tied ourselves to the mast by having specific targets which we report on to the external capital markets so that they can also follow up on this. This is more than just words. This is how we drive business. Why is this important? Why is Yara important? It's important because we operate in a space which truly matters. Agriculture matters for many reasons. Agriculture is today responsible for 25% of all greenhouse gas emissions. And of those 25%, roughly half are linked to land use change. Agriculture consumes 70% of all freshwater. The livelihood of more than 500 million people depend on agriculture for their livelihood. The world has between 500 and 600 million farmers, and about 520 million are smallholders, which every day depend on their farm to have something to eat. So there is a big impact from agriculture, not only on climate, but also on the well-being of hundreds of millions of people. At the same time, we also know that the world needs to eat. We need more food. We will grow towards 2050 as a population, and we will have to increase food production with between 30% and 50% of what we have today to feed that growing population. At the same time, we also know that roughly 800 million people are undernourished. So, agriculture has a big role to play in the issues we're facing on climate. At the same time, we need to eat. So we will not be able to reach the Paris Agreement if we don't fix the broken food system, and we won't be able to reach the SDGs, where you, among others, have no poverty as one of the targets, without working on agriculture. Last year, a report was written by the Food and Land Use Coalition, where it basically looks into the food system, and it looks at how much value is being created and how much value is being destroyed. And it's quite heartbreaking to see that the food systems today actually destroy more value than they create. And you could look at this and you could become depressed or very sad, or you can also look at it as a huge opportunity. And in Yara, we like to say that we are realistic optimists. So we like to look at this as an opportunity to actually be a force for good. Behind these numbers, there's also opportunities worth of roughly $5.4 trillion. So there is an opportunity to shift this and to make the food system a positive net contributor, but it will require technology and it will require change. And change through knowledge. In Yara, we are firm believers in knowledge. We are knowledge optimists. And how do we actually work then to drive a change in the food systems? We do that through contributing with the knowledge we have created or we have harvested over more than 100 years in agriculture. Here is a picture of how we work every day. So roughly per year, we meet about 1 million farmers. But as you might recall, I said the world has close to 600 million farmers. So how can we reach more farmers with more knowledge? Because we see that through teaching farmers about how they can have smarter practices on their farm, we can not only create a good impact for the climate, we can create good impact for their livelihoods, for the use of water, and also for biodiversity. So we see that we can have a positive impact among many parameters, but we need to get that knowledge out. We have about 950 agronomists working in more than 60 countries today, and we have to knock on more doors, but we won't be able to scale up with enough agronomists on the ground to knock on the door of more than 500 million farmers. And this is where digital comes in. We see a massive opportunity from digital tools. Digital tools will help us to not only provide farmers with more of the knowledge we have today through apps and websites, etc., but it will also help us reach much more farmers. What will that do? It will help us have more precise agricultural practices, leading to better yields, better quality, and hopefully then a good impact across many dimensions. But we can't do this alone. So we as Yara, we are a fertilizer company. We know the crop, we know the farmer, but we're not digital specialists. So we teamed up with the best in class, with IBM. We're a firm believer in partnerships, and as you will know, global or sustainable development goal number 17 is focused on partnerships, and we've actually incorporated partnerships in our vision, where we said that one of the things we need is a collaborative society. So we think that by creating win-win partnerships, we will be much stronger. And with IBM, we have a partner that knows AI, blockchain, machine learning, etc., and we know the farm. So together, we have then started to build digital solutions that create an impact on the farm and help the farmer take better decisions. This is a part of our digital offering today. And we take a holistic perspective to the value chain. So we work with all steps to digitize each step. So the first example you see on my far left is an app we have to connect with retailers, with the ones that sell the product to the farmers. Very often, we are not the part selling the product. We are often out on the field meeting the farmers, but we are dependent on retailers like Felleskjøpet and the likes to actually sell the product. So in order to connect with them and ensure that they are our prolonged arm in the meeting with the farmers, we have built up an ecosystem that allows us to connect with them. Weather. Through the IBM partnership, we've also developed an app which is called Farm Weather. And you might think of, why would we do that? Why is the weather important? If I ask anybody here in the room, is the weather important to you? You might say, yes, it defines what I put on in the morning. If I put on a warm jacket, or if I put on a raincoat, or if I take out my sunglasses. For a farmer, the weather can actually be decisive if she or he has an income or not. If they apply the fertilizer or any other input at the wrong point in time, they can actually lose their whole investment. If you apply fertilizer today and you have monsoon rain tomorrow, then you'll basically wash away all your fertilizer, or similar with seeds or other inputs you need. So weather is extremely important and is one of the biggest risks for the farmer. And through the collaboration with IBM, we're able to offer them so-called hyper-local weather data. So if you take out your regular weather app, you will get a forecast which has roughly 20 kilometers as the area where it gives you a decent precision. With farm weather, we can give 2 kilometers, so-called hyperlocal weather data. And that is a huge step forward in enabling the farmer to make better decisions. We also are working on different solutions aimed at the health of the crop, the health of the farm. One of those solutions I have with me here, this is an old prototype, but I hold in my hand an iPhone. And on that iPhone, there is a small clip. It's difficult to see from afar, but it's the size of a USB stick. And with this, you can actually measure the nitrogen content in a crop. So a farmer could go over to his wheat field, and he could measure how much nitrogen do I have in my wheat field now, and use that as an indicator for how much nitrogen he should apply through fertilization. Why is that important? That is important because we know that today, in many areas where the farmer doesn't have knowledge and access to tools like this, they might apply too much, leading to nitrogen finding its way into water, as an example. We don't want the nutrients to run off, we want the nutrients to go into the plant. This device is extremely cheap to produce, and we went from having a device that cost more than 1,600 euros to now having something to produce, or having something which is only a few dollars to produce. A big, big improvement for the farm. And the last example I wanted to highlight is a solution we're working on, which is called Farmer Connect, where you can build ecosystems with universities, with retailers, with farmers, with us, where we basically encourage knowledge sharing across all these different stakeholders inside the food value chain, so that we can help each other and help the farmers to make smarter choices. And this is important. It's important because we want to drive agriculture in a more sustainable direction, but it's also important because we see that if we don't solve the food system, we will basically not be able to reach some of the most important targets we've set as a society, the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. In Yara, we are extremely proud of what we do. We think that through working with farmers on improving their practices, we will be a driving force. We're very happy to be a partner of the Development Goals Forum. We thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight and look forward to engaging with you throughout the week. Thank you.